Ladies and gentlemen, here's a powerful intro in Jessica style, direct, emotionally stirring, and laced with a deep, reflective tone that hooks the listener immediately. Intro: Why women ignore you when they're deeply in love. You think she's lost interest. You think her silence means she doesn't care, but what if I told you that her distance is proof of how deeply she feels? This isn't about games, it's not about ego, it's about fear, vulnerability, and the quiet chaos that happens when a woman's heart starts to truly open. Because when a woman falls deeply in love, she doesn't always get louder. Sometimes she disappears. Not because she doesn't want you, but because she's terrified you'll break the version of herself she's only just started to believe is worthy. So today, we're not here to judge her silence, we're here to understand it, to translate it, to learn what's really going on beneath the quiet. Because if you want to love a woman at her core, you've got to stop chasing the noise and start listening to the stillness. Let's begin. Would you like me to add a 600-word keynote to follow this intro? When a woman falls deeply in love, her emotions can feel like a tidal wave, powerful and uncontrollable. This intensity can become so overwhelming that the only response she feels capable of is silence. Many men misinterpret this as rejection or loss of interest, but in truth, her silence is often a result of emotional overload. Love, especially when it is deep and real, doesn't always manifest in the ways we expect. It doesn't always come with constant attention, affectionate texts, or verbal reassurances. Sometimes, love becomes so intense that it paralyzes her ability to express it. She's not pulling away because she doesn't care. She's pulling away because she cares so much that she doesn't know how to carry it all at once. In moments like these, she's not just responding to the present. Her mind is flooded with the past disappointments, betrayals, letdowns, and heartaches. Her love for you may be new, but her emotional memory is old. It's filled with moments where she gave too much and received too little, where she opened her heart only to have it bruised or worse, broken. So now, when she feels something real beginning to build with you, her heart goes into protective mode. Her silence becomes a shield, not a wall. It's her way of holding space for all the emotions she doesn't yet know how to put into words. Many men operate from a space of logic. When someone loves you, they should show it, say it, prove it. But women, especially women who have experienced emotional wounds, often move differently. When they feel a deep, soul-level connection, their instinct isn't always to move toward it. Sometimes it's to pause, freeze, or hide. They don't want to mess it up. They don't want to be hurt again. They don't want to expose their deepest self only to be met with inconsistency, so they go quiet. Not to punish you, not to manipulate you, but because love, real love, has shaken something loose inside of them, and they need time to steady themselves. In this silence, her mind is racing. She's replaying every moment with you. Every word, every glance, she's dissecting how you look at her, how you listen, how you touch her, how you speak to her. She's not ignoring you because she doesn't care, she's overwhelmed by how much she does. She's feeling everything, all at once. And for a woman who's spent most of her life being told she's too emotional, too sensitive, too much, this kind of feeling can feel dangerous. It threatens the armor she's built around herself. It threatens the emotional walls that have kept her safe for years, and silence is the only way she knows how to navigate that threat. What often goes unseen is the internal war she's fighting. One part of her wants to lean in, to let herself be loved, to open the door and let you all the way in. But another part, a louder part, whispers reminders of every time she's done that before and been let down. Her silence is the negotiation between these two voices, and in that in-between, she doesn't yet have the words to explain what she's feeling. So she says nothing, she pulls back, she watches, she waits. Her silence is not a no, it's a maybe wrapped in fear. It's love speaking in a language you may not recognize. When a woman falls deeply in love, her instinct to feel safe becomes heightened. Love makes her vulnerable, and vulnerability demands a sense of security. When she starts ignoring you, it doesn't always mean she's pulling away. It may mean she's watching, listening, and observing to see if your presence is truly safe. She's not just looking at what you say, or what you do when things are easy. She's testing the weight of your consistency in silence, in uncertainty, in moments where she becomes emotionally unpredictable. That unpredictability isn't a tactic, it's a reaction. A woman in love feels exposed, and exposure can be terrifying. She might pull back just to see if you'll come closer, not in desperation, but in quiet evaluation. She wants to know if you're there only for the parts of her that are convenient, or if you'll stand beside her even when she's messy, emotional, or hard to understand. She's not looking for perfection, she's looking for emotional steadiness. She's not trying to control you with silence, she's trying to trust herself around you. And trust takes time, especially for a woman who's been let down before. She's testing whether you'll rush her or respect her space, whether you'll demand answers or patiently give her the freedom to breathe. This isn't manipulation, it's survival. It's how women who've been through emotional fire learn to love again, cautiously, deliberately, and often silently. She may ignore your messages, delay her responses, or retreat from closeness. But in that space, she's not forgetting you. She's noticing everything, how you react to the silence, whether you show frustration or compassion, whether your interest fades when she stops being predictable, whether you only value her when she gives or if you still show up when she has nothing to offer but uncertainty. Men often ask for loyalty, for honesty, for love that doesn't flinch, but many don't realize that women ask for something equally powerful, emotional safety. They want to know that if they break down, the person standing beside them won't walk away. They want to see if your attention is real, or just a temporary high. So they pull back to see what remains when they're not chasing you, not praising you, not giving you constant affection. It's a way of revealing what's authentic. Her silence becomes a filter. Through it, she sees who's patient and who's just performing. She sees who wants her heart and who wants her energy. She learns who shows up when love is no longer fun or convenient. When a woman is deeply in love, she wants to know that the connection is grounded, not in fantasy, not in surface-level attraction, but in something resilient, something that doesn't crack the moment she needs space or becomes emotionally complex. She's not testing you in a childish way. She's protecting what she hopes will be lasting. You may feel like she's slipping away, but what she's really doing is stepping back to see if you'll follow with grace or chase with entitlement. She's not asking for dramatic gestures. She's paying attention to the little things, your tone when she's distant, your patience when she's silent, your energy when you're not being fed emotionally. All of it tells her something. It tells her whether her heart is safe in your hands or if she needs to keep guarding it. Her silence is the space where your true self is revealed, and she's watching it unfold, moment by moment. When a woman is deeply in love, her desire to connect with you is strong, but sometimes her fear of vulnerability becomes even stronger. This fear can override her longing for closeness, creating a confusing silence that doesn't match the depth of what she feels inside. It's easy to assume that if she cared, she'd reach out, talk more, or make her feelings obvious. But for many women, especially those who have been hurt in the past, love doesn't always show up in loud, expressive ways. Instead, it arrives with hesitation, silence, and emotional distance, not because the love isn't real, but because the risk of being seen too deeply feels terrifying. When love begins to stir something inside her that feels uncontrollable, it touches parts of her that she's kept hidden. Her insecurities, her past wounds, her doubts, all of it rises to the surface. Vulnerability is not just about saying, "I love you." It's about exposing parts of herself that she's not even sure are lovable. It's about showing you the raw, unfiltered version of her emotions without knowing if you'll still accept her afterward. That risk is enormous, and when a woman loves deeply, the potential for heartbreak is just as deep. Her silence becomes a form of self-preservation. There is a kind of emotional weight that comes with real love. It doesn't feel light or casual. It feels heavy in the most sacred way because it matters so much. And when something matters that deeply, people don't just dive into it without fear. They approach it with caution, with trembling hands, with questions that sometimes feel too big to ask out loud. Will he still love me if I show him how broken I am? Will he understand the parts of me I don't even understand myself? Will he leave like the others did when things stopped being easy? These questions don't always get verbalized. They sit quietly beneath the surface, driving behavior that looks like distance, aloofness, or even disinterest. But what's really happening is internal conflict. She wants to connect. She wants to pour love into you. She wants to let her guard down, but every time she inches closer, fear grabs her by the throat and reminds her of the risks. Vulnerability is not her weakness. It's her battleground. She's not cold, she's afraid. She's not playing hard to get. She's protecting a heart that's been shattered before and still carries the scars. And the deeper her love for you grows, the more intense that fear becomes. It's not that she doesn't want to open up. It's that the act of opening up feels like standing on the edge of a cliff, hoping you'll catch her if she falls. This fear isn't always logical. It's emotional. It's rooted in memories, in past relationships, in experiences that taught her that love often comes with pain. So even when she wants to reach out, she might freeze instead. She might avoid your calls, delay her responses, or retreat into silence, not because she's lost interest, but because her emotions are louder than her courage in that moment. Her fear of being vulnerable creates a wall, not because she wants distance, but because she's unsure if she can survive what happens on the other side of letting you all the way in. In many cases, women who ignore you while deeply in love are wrestling with this invisible battle. They're not giving up, they're not closing off. They're simply trying to navigate the emotional storm that comes with finally feeling something real. Vulnerability is not something they avoid lightly. It's something they measure carefully, because once they give themselves fully, there's no turning back, and until they know they're safe, silence becomes their way of serve. When a woman is deeply in love and starts to ignore you, it's easy to take it personally and assume the problem is you. But what's often happening beneath the surface is not about you at all. It's about the emotional war she's fighting within herself. She's not turning away from you because her feelings have faded, but because those feelings have become so intense, they've triggered parts of her that she thought she had buried. Love doesn't always awaken joy first. Sometimes it awakens fear, insecurity, and memories she's spent years trying to forget. In those moments, her silence is not a message of disconnection. It's a sign of deep emotional conflict. A woman in love can appear distant, moody, or unavailable, not because she doesn't care, but because her emotions are battling each other behind the scenes. One part of her wants to trust you, open up, and fall into you with everything she has. But another part is pulling her back, reminding her of all the times she did that before and got hurt. She's not ignoring you to hurt you. She's ignoring you because she's trying to protect herself from being hurt again. Love has activated both her deepest desires and her deepest fears, and those two forces are clashing inside her, making it hard to speak, hard to show up, hard to be present. You might not see it, but in her silence there's overthinking, overfeeling, overanalyzing. She's playing out imaginary conversations, imagining worst-case scenarios, preparing herself emotionally for outcomes that haven't even happened. She's wondering if she's enough, if she's too much, if you'll leave when you really see her. She's not shutting you out for fun. She's retreating inward to wrestle with parts of herself that only love has the power to expose. Love brings her face to face with her own reflection, flaws, fears, hopes, and all. And sometimes that reflection is too heavy to carry out loud. Women are often taught to be strong, to hold it together, to not rely on others. So when she falls deeply in love, it confronts her with a new kind of weakness, the kind that makes her want to depend on someone, open up, and let herself be taken care of. That vulnerability can feel unfamiliar and even dangerous. Her silence becomes a way to regain control, to manage her emotions without letting them spill out, to test herself before she tests you. She's asking herself questions she doesn't have the answers to. Can I trust him? Is this real? What if I get hurt again? What if I'm not what he really wants? These questions swirl in her mind while her heart is still beating fast in your direction. She wants you to know she cares, but she's afraid that showing it will make her look weak, needy, or worse, easy to hurt. She may be caught between the version of herself that protects her peace and the version that wants to risk it all for love. This tension creates emotional paralysis, and in that frozen state, silence is the only thing that feels safe. She's not choosing to ignore you. She's choosing not to lose herself. She's trying to find balance between opening her heart and protecting it. She's trying to decide if love is worth the chaos it brings up inside her. When she goes quiet, it's not because she's indifferent. It's because love has shaken something inside her that she hasn't figured out how to express. She may still think about you constantly, still want you desperately, still hope you reach out, but she doesn't know how to meet you where you are without first making peace with where she is inside herself. Her silence is not about disconnecting from you. It's about reconnecting with parts of herself that got buried beneath past pain. She's not running from you. She's pausing to find her way back to herself before she can give you what's real. When a woman falls deeply in love, the experience doesn't always unfold the way movies and fairy tales portray it. It's not always an immediate, open flood of affection. Often, it's quiet, subtle, distant. It's not because she doesn't feel anything. It's because she feels too much. And when the emotional intensity becomes overwhelming, her instinct may be to retreat, not out of rejection, but as a way to recalibrate. Stepping back is how she gives herself space to breathe, process, and understand what her heart is trying to tell her. Her distance isn't a sign of indifference. It's a coping mechanism for emotional saturation. When emotions rise to a certain level, they can become difficult to manage. For some women, love stirs up everything they've been suppressing. Old wounds, unhealed heartbreaks, fears of abandonment, fears of losing themselves in another person. As these feelings rise to the surface, she needs solitude to make sense of them. She may not have the language to explain what she's feeling, so she relies on space and silence. It's how she decompresses, sorts through the chaos within, and starts making sense of what's happening in her heart. It's not about leaving you behind. It's about gathering herself so she can return to you fully aligned with her truth. Love isn't just an emotion, it's a mirror. And for a woman who has avoided looking at certain truths for a long time, falling in love forces her to confront what she hasn't yet healed. This confrontation doesn't always happen out loud. It happens in solitude, in long walks, in journal pages, in the quiet spaces where no one else is watching. Her withdrawal is not coldness, it's self-preservation. She's giving herself the room to explore the territory of her emotions without the pressure of performance. She doesn't want to give you a version of herself that's confused, reactive, or incomplete. She wants to come back with clarity. Her silence can feel like rejection, especially if you're someone who values consistent communication. But while you may be craving answers, she may be craving inner peace. And in that search for peace, she turns inward. She's not ignoring you to create pain. She's creating a safe emotional environment to explore feelings that might otherwise scare her. Distance in this context is emotional strategy. It's the way she centers herself, so her love for you doesn't become chaotic or impulsive. She's not pushing you away. She's drawing closer to her inner world so she can understand how deeply you've entered it. Emotional recalibration is not a lack of interest. It's the groundwork for emotional maturity. A woman who steps back is often the same woman who will come forward stronger, but she cannot rush the process. She needs to sit with her thoughts, her memories, her hopes, and her fears. She needs to feel through the weight of loving you, not because the love is wrong, but because it's real, and real love shakes foundations. It doesn't fit into tidy boxes or convenient narratives. It grows in complexity, and that growth often requires stillness. You might interpret her silence as her checking out, but what she's actually doing is checking in with herself. She's making sure her feelings are hers and not projections. She's making sure she's not mistaking desire for dependency or longing for love. She wants to show up as her fullest self, and to do that, she must spend time alone. Her emotional depth demands reflection, not reaction. So when she pulls away, it's not to punish or confuse, it's to refine. Love to her is not light and fleeting. It's serious, it's sacred, and before she gives it fully, she makes sure she's ready to hold it. That readiness often begins in silence. When a woman is deeply in love, she begins to seek depth over performance, connection over words, and consistency over effort that only shows up when it's convenient. She becomes hypersensitive to energy, how you show up, how you stay, how you act when nothing is being said. This is why you may notice that she begins to ignore what once got her attention. She may stop responding to long messages that sound good but feel empty. She may become unresponsive to gestures that seem impressive but lack sincerity. Her silence is not passive, it's selective. She's not ignoring you out of indifference, but because her soul has started to reject anything that doesn't align with truth. This stage of love is often misunderstood. She's not playing games. She's no longer interested in romance that's driven by obligation, flattery, or pretense. She's craving something that goes beyond the surface. Something rooted in presence. When you speak, she listens for what's behind the words. When you touch her, she notices whether your touch is connected to real emotion. When you show up, she's watching whether your presence is sustained beyond the highs of new love. Her silence begins where your performance ends. She starts to retreat when the vibe feels off, even if your words are still polished. She chooses stillness when the energy no longer matches her heart's frequency. It's important to understand that this isn't arrogance or emotional withdrawal, it's emotional maturity. She's no longer impressed by promises that aren't followed by presence. She values actions that feel aligned, not exaggerated. She has begun to feel her own worth in a way that doesn't crave constant validation. That shift makes her quieter, more intentional, and less tolerant of emotional inconsistency. She won't explain what's missing. She'll just go quiet, not because she wants you to chase her, but because she wants peace more than attention, and peace only exists where truth is honored. This kind of woman doesn't want to be told she's loved. She wants to feel it. She wants to know that your love exists not just in your language, but in your energy, in your patterns, in the way you stay grounded when things aren't perfect. She wants depth, and she'll wait in silence until she feels it. If it's not there, she won't fight for it. She's done begging to be seen. If you don't bring your full self, if your presence feels performative, if your actions shift with your moods, she'll stop responding, not out of cruelty, but because her soul is done negotiating with half-truths. The silence is a filter. She watches who notices it, who respects it, who grows impatient with it. She pays attention to how you handle her absence. Do you respond with ego or with patience? Do you try to fix her quietness, or do you hold space for it without needing to be the center? These details tell her more than words ever could. She's learning how to protect her peace, and that often starts with choosing herself over constantly explaining herself. Her silence becomes her strength, a boundary that doesn't scream but stands firm. You may feel confused when she doesn't react the way she used to. You may wonder why your efforts don't get the same response, but she's not the same woman she was when you first met her. Love has changed her. It's made her more discerning, more in tune, more protective of her energy. She no longer chooses what looks good. She chooses what feels right. And if it doesn't feel right, she won't force a connection just to keep the conversation going. She's not here to fill space, she's here to find meaning. And until that meaning feels mutual, her silence will continue to speak louder than anything she could ever say.